Welcome, welcome. A new day, a new week. Welcome to Emuna is our future with relationship quarantine. Today we're going to discuss something so valuable and profound, and yet it's a continuation for everything we've been doing during this time of Shalom. We completed that in the previous 6 weeks. Like we said, we went out of Egypt, we went out of our restraints, and we were able to internalize, please God, the Holy Torah, and to internalize our values and our goals and our dreams. So now we're holding at a point, Parshas Truma, where we are now bringing all this inspiration and trying to figure out how to get this inspiration into a place of boundaries so that we can truly experience the limitless power of unification and spirituality of Emuna and all the good things that we discuss in our Emuna as our future series. What I'd like to do is to include everybody to think for a moment that we are all able to flow in such a way that all of us want to find that soul partner. All of us want to have those relationships that are meaningful, that are profound, and to bring us to a place of wholeness. Personally, like my wife and I are turning 40. It's a big time. Really, she's 21. I'm 40. 40 is like a third of our life. If we go like Moshe Rabbeinu, 120 years, and 40 for many people is halfway point. You know, the midlife opportunities, the midlife development, as Brene Brown says. So we get that moment in our time to just really become more curious, as Brene Brown says, and to understand, like personally, what is this soulmate, to internalize what is this relationship experience that we're having. So that's why I'm putting a lot of time now into a Relationship Flow podcast, and we're going to continue that now with our Emuna as our future, because not only are we sitting in Rav Shalom Arush's wonderful institute together in Jerusalem, but we are also tuning into the power of our relationships, and that will happen on a daily level because everyone in some way or form has somebody in their life, and if they don't have somebody in an obvious sense, we're all connected on a soul level, and we all have that opportunity to develop these concepts. Now everybody out there is trying to figure out, how do you experience the relationship experience in a real, balanced, healthy, happy, wealthy way. So one of the ways to understand that I feel that I've been blessed to have that insight after Shovavim, after we've had these 6 weeks, and it's written in our prayer service, really. We don't even have to go too far. Every morning we say a beautiful tefillah called Avas Olam, Avarabba. Avas Olam Avarabba is a special prayer that the Baal Shem Tov, who we mentioned last week, he said would have the power to bring out the light of Mashiach, the light of Geula, the light of redemption in the world. So what's this Avas Olam Avarabba, this abundant love, this tremendous love that we experience in Tefillah before we say the Shema, before we get into that Shovavim experience? So the idea is that we say, Avinu Avarachaman, my Father, my merciful Father. Avinu Avarachman Merachem Rachem Aleinu V'Sein B'Libeinu Bina. The Hashem should put in our hearts, Sein B'Libeinu. Our Father, Heavenly Father, should put in our heart, Sein B'Libeinu Bina, Lahavin, Lahaskil, to understand, to comprehend, Lahaskil, Lishmoya, to listen, to really internalize, Limod Lamed, to learn and to be able to teach, V'lishmor, to guard, V'lasois, that was last week, Mishpatim, to do, see all the mitzvahs we have to do, and then L'kayem, it's Kol Divrei Sam Masorosech B'Hava. So the words beginning, the Lahaskil, to comprehend, that's already Shmos. Now we start to comprehend, we're in exile, we start to have clarity, awareness, that it's like a matrix. You know, we're trying to understand, we're in a matrix, we're trying to comprehend now, we're like, there's more to this world, there's spirituality, we've come across the Garden of Emuna series, we understand Rav Elgrod is giving us clarity on halacha, on his daily halacha corner, and we've got Rav Yonatan Galed, who, Baruch Hashem, we're going to get his 10th class coming very, very soon on his Emuna series, the Universal God of Emuna, and we start to get awareness that we have a soul. And then after Lahaska Lishma, we start to really listen. So we're listening to these classes, we're internalizing, we're sharing. Thank you very much for listening and sharing. And then Limod Lamed, we're learning in order to be able to teach. That's already going into Bo. That's now we're becoming a people. And by Shalach, we're giving it over. We're experiencing Yeshua's. We're sharing it with a world. The whole world saw the Yam Suf, the splitting of the sea. It's made reverberations for all the generations of the song of the sea and the effect it had. Everybody contemplates that if they're connecting in spirituality, this idea of that there's something beyond this world changing nature. And then the Yisro. Then we had the Torah, and that's already limod elamed lishmor. We have to guard it. We have to protect the Torah. We can't just do what we want. You can't just come to the Torah however you feel like. It's a spiritual experience with God, with godliness. And there's a way to approach Har Sinai. There's a way to approach the Torah. There's lishmor, to protect it, to internalize it, to make it real, and to honor it. And then we come to lasos, to do. And that's what we said, mishpatim. All these mitzvahs we get to do. And then we get to the climax, which is where we're at now. Yeah, even bigger climax than Shovavim is the whole idea after Shovavim, after we've done all that, we've created all those boundaries, we've understood that we can't just put our eyes wherever we want, and we can't just put our mouths wherever we want. And right now, unfortunately, there's a quarantine. There's a quarantine in the world because of this coronavirus, Hashem Shmeinu, that people are scared. People are nervous where they go, who's breathing, who's touching, who's this, who that. There's a certain quarantine experience going on. And we realize suddenly that in Parshas Truma, there's a positive quarantine. There's a quarantine of the Mishkan, that we have a place where we are quarantined from the world, from the distractions, so we can actually experience our relationship of soul. And that's the positive, because with every negative, there's always going to be a positive. There's no such thing that Hashem creates these dark experiences in the world. And unfortunately, the media just got on and on about the corona, and right now there's missiles hitting Israel and the politics, and nobody knows this and knows that. And that's how the media focus. We've spoken about this many times, the distractions. But on the other side, there's light being generated. And that's the idea of relationships. Suddenly, Hashem's shining a new light of the power that we can have in this temple format, of this Mishkan, of this place that we're talking about in this week's Parsha, where suddenly all that inspiration that we got from Shovavim can now have a place, a dwelling place, can go into our home, and it can come into our hearts, and it can come into our life. And I spoke about this in our Relationship Flow podcast. You're welcome to check it out. I did post the link. Usually I don't because it's more personal. But, this time we're sharing it with the Breslev Israel experience, that you can tune into that podcast on a weekly level also, as well as our Emuna, as our future. So we have a bit more content for you guys, because it really links up this week, because Emuna, having Emuna, understanding that when we're going through the Torah, it's Hashem's revealed us certain universal, powerful, eternal principles that all of us can really grow from in a real way. Because, for example, let's just be practical. You walk into your home. Okay, please God, you're going to find your soulmate. Now, that's a good point. How do you get to that point where you get the soulmate? Before we go to the home experience, you first have to understand you have to have boundaries. And that's where we're going to quote Gedalia Fenster, who's someone who's out there. He's in the singles market helping people. And I don't mean business. I mean singles in terms of people who haven't yet found their soulmate. He's constantly helping them. He sent one to me the other day. And please God, we're going to speak. And this concept of singles, the people who are searching for their soulmate, is something which, it can be very frustrating and very difficult. And the way the world markets it, the way the world puts it out there, Hollywood and, all these websites, dating things and this and that, the whole flick, I don't know, I don't want to say anything not good about anybody, but there's this whole flicking through, another opportunity. It's not real relationships, not something intimate, it's not something deep. So unfortunately, and that's where it's gone in the world, very external. And all of us are affected by it on some level. We have this a vision of Hollywood experience of love, but that's not real love. Real love, real relationships is what we're going to learn about in this week's Parsha, the Mishkan, of how Hashem's communicating to his people about the ultimate yichud, this ultimate unification, this oneness. So that's what we said, that really, let's just breathe a minute, be a little bit more mindful, that this oneness, that we want to experience, this spiritual connection of the soulmate experience, what it means to connect with another person truly, is totally modeled in the Mishkan. Let's just like slow down a second, just like pause. So you're trying to go find that soulmate. Everyone wants to find their soulmate. And the truth is, Rabbi Nachman says in his famous Torah in Tanina, in Pei Zion, in 87, in the second section of Likutei Moharan, everybody needs to find their soulmate on a daily level. Even if you have your soulmate, you still got to keep looking for that person, whoever it is. So like I said, I'm 40 years old, coming up, Purim, personally, and my wife's Zayin Adar, so that's Moshe Rabbeinu's yacht site coming up. These are coming attractions. Rosh Chodesh Adar, it's actually coming tonight. Mishiniknas Adar, Marbin B'Simcha. And the famous point is that Adar is also the Osius of Aleph Dor. What does that mean? That means that Aleph, the Alufei Sha'olam, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is Dar, is making a dira, is making a place in the world to have his dwelling. And that's what we're going to explain. That when you're on that process of soulmate search, you've got to make a place for Hashem in your life, because you can't find your soulmate if you're not soulful, if you're not in tune with your soul. So on some level, you have to have some boundaries. You can't just think that, oh, you know, like me personally, I told my story, I think, one time in these classes, and for sure in a relationship flow, that I was in university and I'd stopped watching TV for about a year, no television. There was no internet like now, like all the YouTube and all this stuff. There was none of that. So it was just email or whatever, something. It wasn't so relevant to me that time. And, you know, like I had basically disconnection from all this loads and loads of stuff going on out there. I was just like focused on finding my soul. Like I was working on music, working on lyrics, working on poetry. Thank God I had a spiritual best friend at that time, and also my soulmate to become. I didn't know them, but she was my best friend as a girl, and you know, it was platonic, but we were like very close, and all these things going on in university, which was pretty crazy hardcore. Thank God somehow I managed to like just keep focused on creating content and spirituality and music. I wrote a lot of my album. It's called the Together album, and that was part of my journey back to Eretz Yisrael, back to Tshuva, and it started to open up my heart to spirituality. But because I wasn't connected, I wasn't, like, for example, as a man, I wasn't spilling seed. Sorry to be so blunt, but that's what I wasn't. I was already Shomer Bris as a seemingly religious person. I wasn't yet in tune, but a good friend of mine, a sincere soul, told me it's not good to do that, and I just tried it, and my life changed. I had energy inside me, and I felt more connected to spirituality. And when I'd look at a sunset, I felt like I was seeing God revealing himself through the creation, and there was so much inspiration amongst my group of friends, and some of them, thank God, even now have finally, you know, found their way, and some are still finding their way, and some are refinding their way. Everyone's going on their own journey, but for me personally, it was like a very spiritual time, and that of disconnect to reconnect. And that's, you know, what we talk about with Shabbos, and this idea, this quarantine that we create, you know, in a positive sense of just disconnect to really reconnect, to find those relationships. And that's really important. Like when you go into your relationship, now you're finally dating someone. So one of the things someone once said to me, that he was messing up all his dates, he was messing up his engagement, and he actually broke on that engagement because all the time he was on his phone, and I'm guilty as well, Hashem should forgive me. And it was like, you know, to get the phones or whatever you're addicted to nowadays, whatever distractions it is, like to just be able to disconnect and just be there for that person, to really empathize and connect and be sincerely there for that person, like to really be face to face. And now you start to understand. You go into the temple, you go into the Mishkan, and you start to see that God created this macrocosm, in the temple sense, for each person's microcosm. And really the temple itself is a microcosm for the macrocosm of the whole world. To understand that really the whole world is centered around this temple, around this place of connection. That really the whole world is, like we said, as once we explained, it's like an eye. It's around like a big circle, the oceans, and ultimately all the land's going to come together to form this one eye, and it's going to be all holy like Israel, and then there's going to be this Jerusalem in the middle, and inside this place, Jerusalem, is going to be this place of intense avoda, just like an eye has the white, and for some people the green and the black. The black is the intense place of avoda, like Avram, Yaakov, Yitzchak, this place of chesed, of kindness, and then beauty, and then gavoira, of intense, you know, service. This is how the world's going to come together on a unified level. So in that place where that temple is going to be, and the Mishkan is now like a moving version of that, so the Jewish people could come into Eretz Yisrael with that image of what it means to have Hashem dwell in the world. So we're in Truma, and we're reading about this kindness of the Truma, of giving Truma, and Hashem's giving us a Torah Mem in the 40 days. Hashem's giving us this opportunity to tap in to what it means for Him to have a dwelling place in the world, so we can understand in our relationships, let's get back to the relationships, that when we walk into our home, now, we found our soulmate, please God, and we've tuned into that other person. Like I said, I looked at my wife's eyes and I saw my soulmate. I saw a soul connection. It was so deep, and I knew on a deep level. And then, please God, everyone should find that and be fortunate to share that journey together with that soul partner. And then you walk into your home and you see on a Shabbos night, for example, you see the lights of the candles. That's like the menorah, of your Shabbos licht. And then you turn to the table and you see the shulchan, you see the challahs on the table, and you're like, wow, this is like a little temple going on here. Like, we got the menorah and the shulchan, so where's the Kodesh Kadoshim? So you have your Aron Kodesh, it's like the Torah, where all the books are, and then you have your mind and your heart, which these two also represent, these Kodesh Kadoshim, and this idea of the bed, where the place where the intimacy takes place. There's a place of where the kruvim, where the panim upon him, these two faces are facing each other, an intimate kiss, an intimate connection, and that's where the Torah is held, that moment where the souls come down and Hashem speaks through that place, and there's an intimate oneness for face-to-face experience that goes out into the house, and there's a reach and a beautiful smell of the incense that brings the nachas ruach, the energy of the house, how you run the house, the environment, the simcha, the joy, the zmiris, and we've all got to work on that. I mean, I'm talking like as if I'm some holy Kabbalist or some holy person, but really I am, but am I living up to it? That's something else. I have to work on it. That's why we learn these parshas. It's not just like whatever, like you go to shul and you hear the Torah be read, or say the rest of the world, they don't, if they're not Jewish and they're not hearing it, but say they listen to Ben Shapiro and he'll mention something from there, or they listen to us, or they listen to Rav Arush and hear these ideas of the parsha, and starts to realize that the Torah is alive, it's real, and it's in your home. And it's showing how your house is a holy place. And once again, like I said, it can come into the person's heart. Like when the person eats, it's like the table, like the mizbeach, it's offering up korbanos, offerings. But what really you have to now bring out a little bit, what are these offerings? This is the self-sacrifice that we all have to create this boundary, this place of relationships, this place where you quarantine yourself as if, you're no longer out there in the world. Fine, you have your phone, like you're talking, doing a bit of business, and the more strong you get at putting boundaries of putting the phone away, the better it will be, the more you can focus on the family and they can feel your connection. I've got to work on this so much, it's like a weekly struggle. But I'll give you another thing that I was speaking to Nissim Black this Shabbos. Nissim Black, thank God, is a student of Rav Shalom, and please God, he's going to be performing for Rav Arush when Rav Arush makes a big siyum of Shas, a big completion of the Talmud, together with thousands of other people. It's going to be around in May time. I posted it, but this idea of this tremendous experience of being around people like Nissim Black and Yosef Brown. And we were together in yeshiva at Ashreinu and Beit Shemesh. We had a Shabbaton, which I organized with the yeshiva and brought, Nissim Black and Yosef Brown to be there. And I also spoke, Baruch Hashem. But the main point was we spoke about, to Nissim, we went together to the mikveh and back, and we were speaking about how, the whole thing that, we're hoping, like being connected to a more inner path, like of relationship, and it has responsibility as well. That's a big thing. And, people are posting, thank you very much, people posting how this year is right on time, is helping them with things that they're struggling with in their marriage, and how understanding these boundaries are real and live, and that loyalty aspect, like how many people are having a hard time keeping focus, and like the Rav Arush always says, the Shema Salam, that you really should only have one woman in your life, and all your energy, and or if for the other way around, a man should only have, the woman should only have one man, or this oneness that's creating in the relationship, that all your energy and focus should be on that one person. Fine, you can help other people, and please God, we try, but the main thing, all your energy, your sexual energy, your love, your passions, should be focused on this one other person, and that's like, once again, creating that image of oneness that is ultimately true. And that, if you understand like these spiritual concepts, it's not like we're not like externalizing them into political concepts and who we're on this side of the fence or that side. We're talking about from an internal sense. So there's no politicalization. This is something very true universally on the ultimate sense. And once you have these values in place, then obviously you're going to make your choices outside, please God, with more clarity and more understanding. So then, for example, with a relationship, and you're walking into your home, like I said, and you're looking at your soulmate, and please God, one day you're looking at your kids, and please God, one day even looking at grandkids, and you're seeing this development of how this experience of kruvim, of oneness, of the Kodesh Kadoshim, of this oneness, Holy of Holies, that you created, and you had this experience of godliness, and you had this intense pleasure of unification with your other half. When you unified with them, became one, you tasted what it's like. They were really one soul on the most intimate spiritual level. That is the climax. That is the kayam. It's called that's establishing all the Torah that should become one, should become with love. And that is that love that we said at the beginning with the Shema, and that prayer service that we're always taking with us on a daily level. We're tapping into that everything should be with love. Open my eyes to see your Torah. So I should start to see how everything has a oneness and everything has a unification, and everything that I'm doing is part of unifying my life to that one flow. And that's what I'm personally working on in a big way, like the unity flow. I'm trying to get that podcast, the relationship podcast, and I'm trying to connect myself with Rav Arush and other tzaddikim, other righteous people. And it has to be done with a little bit of chutzpah, because it's not going to be easy to always get to the people that are holy. And please God, we're hopefully going to see them tonight. We're going to get ready for Purim. Please God, it's a time of Mordechai and Esther. They're the example of a soulmate, of a relationship. And Haman and his wife is the opposite of that. Or, Achashverosh, or all these other, with Vashti. These are the opposite relationships that we read in the Megillah Esther. We get to understand what the true Shalom bias, the image of Shalom bias of Mordechai and Esther, and as it's talked about in the Garden of Emuna and other books, each in their own way. Like personally, I find it very strong in the Garden of Emuna. I don't mind saying, not saying the Garden of Shalom, the Garden of Peace. Nissim Black holds of that book, like this is his book that literally has saved his Yiddishkeit, changed his life, and that was the book that he most resonates with, and he does it. He does his bodhidus, he does everything. Me personally, I'm not on that level. I love it. I think it's amazing ideas and concepts, and the Rav is right in everything he's doing. But personally, just so people can know, be vulnerable, be real, that for me, I have to work it out how I can bring it down to my reality and my level of being able to do a spodidus on my marriage, and to understand that everything Hashem is saying is communicating specifically for me. And I do agree 100% it's MS. But I have to be real with who I am. And that's, once again, everyone's going to experience the temple, the Mishkan, the light that Hashem's given us in his own unique way. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually very beautiful. That is part of the unification. That everyone's going to have their own color, their own experience, their own development, their own process. And please God, we'll write our own book also one day that can resonate with all these beautiful books. But the point is just to come back down and finish off today, because it's a longer class. But I think it's on something that's really important. That since there is this feeling out there of corona and a virus and all this distraction and everything's going off in a negative way, and missiles and this and that, and everyone's feeling very scared, we have to even more so quarantine ourselves into our home, not because of all this negativity, but because we love our relationships, that we love the experience of what it means to be married or to have a soulmate, and we love the experience of having people in our life we can dedicate to and have a ponim, face-to-face connection. I think that's one of the reasons this technology has come about in a time where there's so much distraction, is give us an opportunity to talk together. Right? You wouldn't know who I was, I'd just be say I just got a job, whatever, in a corporate company and just sitting on a computer. We wouldn't be talking like this. Thank God these videos are going out. And we get an opportunity to share, I think, very intimate concepts, very deep concepts. And so that's something which all of us on some level, people are resonating. Thank you very much. But I just want to end off really just giving everyone a blessing that, we're at a time very close towards the third temple. But I think one of the ways we can bring the Mashiach, to bring the Messiah, to bring this revelation that Hashem's presence should dwell in the world in a revealed way, and all this sickness and all this pain should go away or transform to healing and light and positivity and joy. We should get to that place of reality. I think my blessing is that everyone should just understand the power of the relationship they have with God, relationship they have with the people around them, the relationship they have with the Torah, with values, with truth, and with Emuna, and to understand, please God, that would be a key. And I ask of you, my last request is, on this end of this class, is we have our Emuna tour. Rav Arush, Shalom is available. You reach out make it happen so you can experience with Shalom Arush's special light in person, face to face. Please God, if it works out, hopefully I'll be there. Maybe even being with Jonathan Galed or Ravel God or other people. I'm offering this to you guys. I'm ending off the class with a big blessing that the Emuna Torah is here, and we're here now on the video, but please God, we should be able to be in your communities and be part of it. Or even better, just come everyone back to Jerusalem and experience the light of Emuna as our future, and we'll see the Binyan Beis Hamikdash, all of us together. Amen. Thank you for listening. All the love. Keep sharing. Thank you so much.